Kyrie Irving just got traded to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and two 2029 draft picks. They are going to the Brooklyn Nets. Oh boy. This is the most interesting trade I've seen so far. Because on paper, you would think that I'll be talking about how Kyrie and Luka will be a great duo. And maybe they would be. Maybe they would. Probably only in the regular season, though. I don't know how it's going to help in the postseason. I'll explain that later. I want to talk about the Brooklyn Nets first. Because I personally believe that they won this trade. I was going to sound crazy, but I'm going to address one thing. One, I do not think Dinwiddie or Finney-Smith is better than Kyrie Irving. Because they're not. They're not. However, Spencer Dinwiddie is not a bad player. He's a very good player. And aside with Luka, he was helpful for Luka. So bringing him back to the Nets, because he did play for the Nets before. That's where he became a well-known player. That he became the rising star in Brooklyn. Now the Brooklyn Nets has KD, and now they got Dinwiddie. And I think when it comes to chemistry, I think that it's gonna work. Now I'm gonna briefly explain this real quick. I do not think that the Brooklyn Nets are going to the NBA Finals nor the Eastern Conference Finals. I believe that Dallas may have more success on a technicality standpoint when it comes to the playoffs. But the reason why I think the Nets win is because I don't see Kyrie staying on Dallas. I explain later on, but you'll know why. Because the whole issue that people had was that Kyrie requested the trade. He wanted to leave. So they brought back two players that are, well, okay, I'm not going to say they're young because Dinwiddie's like 1 year younger than Kyrie. But players that are a point guard that's not bad. That's practically does like exactly what Kyrie does. But again, Kyrie's a superstar. He does it better. But like Dinwiddie, he can shoot. He can pass. He's pretty good. He's pretty decent off-ball movement and trying to find himself open. Because they're going to be focusing on Kevin Durant. Durant's definitely going to be double teamed and all that. So Dinwiddie's definitely going to have an open shot. And when he's out of the bench, when he's on the bench, KD, Dinwiddie can show the Nets like, hey, give him the chance. I can be pretty fucking good with the ball. I'll control the offense. I'll do that. Yada yada yada. And for Dorian Finney-Smith, I think I give him this category where he's a great spark. And what I mean by that is that I'm not guaranteed this guy is going to hit you with 15 points every game because he's not having the greatest season in his career so far. He's averaging 9.6 points per game. But if he's open, there's a chance that he's going to knock down the three. But that's why I believe he'd be very helpful off in the bench for Kevin Durant because unless they're going to sub him as a point power forward, then that's a whole different thing. But if he does come off the bench, I think with the help with Spencer Dinwiddie, I think he can, show the Brooklyn Nets and the NBA like he can bring in the motivation. He can start the motivation for the team to make a run, and everybody else does the work thanks to him. I think he's capable of doing that. I made that sound like he's a team leader, but he's not. Be very helpful on the bench or in the power forward position. He can help KD, spread. He can help KD, when he's open for three. He can help, because he's a pretty good shooter. Big money question, because this was discussion when him and Kyrie were popping off. Are the Brooklyn Nets going to reach the NBA Finals? No, they're not. I don't see them reaching the finals. I do at least see them getting out of the first round. If anything, getting out the first round. I don't see them as a championship team anymore. And it's very unfortunate because KD was the one that wanted Kyrie. They got him Kyrie. And Kyrie didn't do anything that helpful. Other than that one season. But that was mainly because Kevin Durant was just popping off in the last two games against the Bucks. But aside from that, no, I don't see the Nets reaching the finals. What I do see is them at least reaching the semifinals. I do see them there, but obviously that's not enough. You want the ring. So I don't know what they're gonna do in the next few seasons. I think they should find great role players for the bench and probably grab some great 3-and-D players off the bench. Grab some what's the name? Okay, grab some like defensive minded centers. Now, let's go to Dallas. This may be the greatest highlight trade ever. And what I mean by that is you cannot tell me otherwise. Kyrie Irving with Luka Doncic sounds like a fun duo in an All-Star game. As a team to win a championship, though, I want to believe it, but I don't really believe it. I think they could if Kyrie actually plays and actually provide a helpful impact for Luka. I think they can at least reach the Western Conference Finals, or maybe the Finals. Who knows? That's a stretch. That's a big stretch. But here's what I think of it. But Kyrie is one of the best players in the NBA right now. His main issue is, like I said before, he doesn't show up to games that much. If Kyrie Irving shows up to games, this could work. Because Luka's issue was that the offense was always around him, which makes sense. He's a superstar. It was based around him, but he needs help with sharing the rack. He needs somebody else to control the ball when he is getting double teamed or something. And I think Kyrie is the perfect one for that. Dinwiddie was also great, and Jalen Brunson also was, but they're not Kyrie Irving. And I think Kyrie Irving can provide a better help on the offense for Luka than those two. Now, here's the thing. I don't know. I'm still skeptic on how the perimeter defense is going to look like, because Luka, no offense, not a great defender. He's a little slow, and Kyrie is not like a really, really bad defender, but he's not all that either. But he's not like a good defender. He's an okay one. They should have asked for Kyrie and a player that can be a perimeter defender. Their best defender is Christian Wood. And he's not a bad one, but he's not. That's not enough to help you on your defensive end. So I think with that, I don't see how that's gonna work, because they didn't really fix a problem. They just kind of increased the positive of what they already had, which was their offense. Because Luka's a superstar, and Dinwiddie was playing great too. They kind of just made the offense better, but they didn't bother helping in the defensive part. Like he can be great in the off-ball movement. He's not the best, but he can provide decent enough off-ball movement. And Luka can find a way to find Kyrie, and Kyrie can do his own thing, and yada yada yada. If motivated, Kyrie can be very helpful when it comes to Luka. If Luka has the ball in his hand, but when it comes to Kyrie, he wants to he wants to show out. So he's gonna be relying on Luka to give him the ball the most, and expectantly it probably will work. But I don't see it working in the long run, because again, that doesn't help their defense. I don't see this duo being a long-term duo. I think Kyrie is gonna ask for another trade ever, because that's another problem with Kyrie has, because he was given everything he asked for in Brooklyn, and yet he still is not happy about it. He's not a bad person. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about as an NBA player. This guy is not helpful at all when it comes to longevity. He joined Cleveland, left. I can understand Boston. I heard the story. I got Boston, but he left too. But for Brooklyn, there wasn't any excuses. The only excuse you could make was injuries. And half of the time you weren't really injured. You just didn't want to play. And then you got James Harden, and somehow that wasn't enough. You lose to the defending champions. You lost to the Bucks. But then the next season after that, not only are you and KD healthy for the playoffs, you guys got your ass clamped by Boston. And sure, I'm mentioning both KD and Kyrie, but the point that I'm trying to make is that Kyrie was given chances after chances to do something for a team. for Brooklyn. Sorry, for Brooklyn. Specifically Brooklyn. I'm talking about Brooklyn right now. And he didn't execute well. So it's like, what if that doesn't work? How do you expect that to work in Dallas? Because like I said, I think they're going to be great in the offensive end and for the highlight reels, but I don't see them winning a championship because of that, or going to the finals even. Because that's the big question: are they capable of reaching the NBA Finals? I don't think so. At least if they reach the Western Conference Finals, then I might start believing for the next season. I might start believing. But if they get out of if they stayed in the same conference that they're in right now, or if they reach the semifinals, I'll be a big skeptic. It's like, it's a good trade overall when it comes to a NBA superstar, but that's not going to help your team because it's all about the chemistry. It's all about team play. And if Kyrie doesn't show up, you get nothing. Because it's just be basically just a party for Luka again. Watch. Best case scenario for Dallas is that they reach Kyrie and Luka do find a way to work together perfectly well. They reached at least the finals. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is them just absolutely hating each other. Not hating each other, but not liking each other on the court, and Kyrie asks for a trade immediately. What I do expect, though, is 2 good seasons, and Kyrie's going to ask for another trade. That's what I believe. I don't know. What do you guys think of the trade?